It's another nice morning. It's overcast in Puerto Princesa in Palawan. This is a live shot of Baywalk along Puerto Princesa in Palawan. Is that smog? I can see no. It's the mountains across the bay.
It seems it's. Am I assuming right that it's cool?
Yeah, it looks cool. In fact, I was going to say it looks like China.
Ah.
Somewhere in China. It's raining.
It's raining, so that's why. So that's
Our
why
floor
it's a bit
director, Joy, is telling us that it's raining. Muulan daw, sabi ni Joy.
Kaya pala walang tao dyan ngayon sa Baywalk.
Kaya pala walang tao, that's right.
Well, it's
raining in Palawan.
It's raining in Palawan, and here
it's sunny
in Manila,
along C5. Man, just like yesterday.
Yes, that's southbound, right?
Southbound, yes.
That's
going
southbound.
towards SLEX. On the right is Bonifacio Global City, the fort. And the northbound lane is
free-flowing. It's
free-flowing,
light.
unlike yesterday. Yesterday it was bad. Today's good.
Pretty good, and even on the right side, Jane. Even
Pretty good. Yeah, not as bad as yesterday, no.
Yes, not as bad as yesterday, considering more or less it was the same time yesterday.
Is that the usual thing? Mondays are bad?
Maybe I was going to say
Monday,
that also.
C5. You pass it along C5?
Not recently, but this is probably a site where most motorists who pass EDSA at this time of the day would probably be expecting this kind of traffic.
Yep.
And
yeah, this is usual. Napakimart EDSA, this is southbound.
Southbound.
In the Kamuning area.
Though we can't really see the northbound area, but as you can see, it's also quite light on
there
the
you go.
other
There's
side.
a little bit of the northbound. You can see it. It's moving freely. So southbound is bad. That's to expect on EDSA at this time of the morning. And this is our skyline as we see it from the roof deck of the Worldwide Corporate Center along Shaw Boulevard in Mandaluyong. Sun is rising. That's why you have all that glare.
It feels warm.
Traffic on the Shaw flyover is good.
Quite light.
Both lanes, yeah,
Both
very
lanes
light.
are quite light.
Usually is this time of day.
So most likely it's really going to be the EDSA route, southbound,
Right.
which would
Southbound
be heavier.
EDSA, bad at this time. Well, if you're just getting up to go to work and you're taking southbound, good luck. You have our prayers.
Do a little stretching then.
Yeah. Good morning. I'm Jing Magsaysay.
And I'm Amelin Veloso.
And Pat Fernandez is in the other studio, the Solar Weather Center. She's going to join us in a bit. You're watching Solar Daybreak on the Solar News Channel. It's Tuesday, February 5. The first few hours of the workday can have a significant effect on your level of productivity, so it's important you have a morning routine that sets you up for success. If you remain committed to good morning work habits, you won't fall prey to feeling unproductive and distracted at the end of the day. Start each day with a clean slate. Don't be moody. You'll want to pay attention to your mood and be aware of its effect on others. So if you're not a morning person, try to have a positive attitude when you arrive at the office. Grab a second or third cup of coffee if that's what it takes. Here's a quote from one of the most popular film actors of the 20th century, John Wayne. He said, "Courage is being scared to death, but saddling up anyway."
Photo of a sunrise in Buyong Beach in Mactan, Cebu. Mactan is an island located a few kilometers from Cebu. The island is divided into Lapu-Lapu City and the municipality of Cordova. Our photo center is Pimbaya Pangilinan Jr., and this photo was taken using an iPhone 4S. Our second photo is from Elmer Fugaban. This is an early morning photo of a beach in Mabini in Batangas. Mabini is named after Apolinario Mabini, a Filipino revolutionary hero. This place in Batangas is known for its diving and snorkeling sites. Continue sending us your photos at solardaybreak@gmail.com. Warm winds continue to prevail today. Pat Fernandez is at the Solar Weather Center to give us more of today's weather forecast. Good morning, Pat.
Good morning, Amelin, and good morning to all our viewers this beautiful Tuesday morning. Weather Bureau Pag-asa says there's still no major disturbance inside the Philippine area of responsibility, but the easterlies will still bring warm winds over the eastern section of the country. And as you can see in our metro weatherscape, light rains will be experienced here in southern Visayas in the morning, but the whole country will only experience partly cloudy skies with isolated rain showers and thunderstorms, particularly over the areas of Cagayan Valley, Aurora, Quezon, and Bicol region, including eastern Visayas, Caraga, and Davao. The temperature here in Metro Manila will range from 25 to 32 degrees Celsius. Moderate to strong winds blowing from the east to southeast will prevail over the eastern section of northern Luzon. And also moderate strong winds coming from the east to northeast will prevail over Bicol region and eastern Visayas. The coastal waters along these areas will be moderate to rough. Elsewhere, the winds will just be light to moderate coming from the northeast, bringing slight to moderate seas. And that's the latest on the weather this morning. Jane?
Thanks, Pat. Let's take a look at the banner stories of the major broadsheets this morning. Sulu Rebs clash, 26 dead, 8 MNLF fighters killed, beheaded by Abu Sayyaf. Supreme Court stops virtual car smuggling at Port Irene. And the story goes from Bayambong, Nueva Vizcaya. The Supreme Court decision declaring the constitutionality of an executive order banning used car importation into the country will put a stop to the virtual smuggling of vehicles at a free port in Cagayan, a Malacanang official said over the weekend. Used luxury cars galore, BMWs, Mercedes-Benzes, and Porsches await buyers at a car lot near Port Irene in Santa Ana, Cagayan. A Supreme Court ruling upholding an executive order banning the importation of used cars at the Cagayan Free Port is expected to end the virtual smuggling of these vehicles in the country. That's the front page of the PDI. Philippine star MNLF Abu battle rages, 30 killed. A photograph of a boy looking at an albino python. There's the head of the albino python right there, named Cheesecake, behind the glass panel at the Malabon Zoo over the weekend. The Lunar New Year is on February 10, the start of the year of the water snake. Dilemma in Tubataha, crane needs to drop anchor, but they don't want that because the anchor is going to destroy more corals. World Bank, Philippines says macroeconomic stability, but jobs are needed. Ratings of top government executives dip, according to the SWS. 54 killed in Sulu fighting is the headline of the Manila Bulletin. And here you see the crane ship SMIT Borneo arriving off the coast of Palawan, February 3. This is the crane ship that's going to be used in the plan to lift pieces of the USS Guardian off the Tubataha Reef. No whitewash of Atimonan probe, Malacanang assures. That's the front page of the Manila Bulletin. Manila Times, PICO's glitches can lead to fraud. Showing biographies violate sense of propriety. And Cambodia, Myanmar overtake Philippines in FDI flows, 22 dead in Abu Sayyaf and MNLF clash. Patikul firefight leaves 22 dead. Solons want COMELEC probed on shakedown. Black, white, no difference. And Popcom, Philippines posts jobless growth. That's the front page of the Manila Standard. Malaya Business Insight, $10 billion seen from gaming. Meralco set 6-year, 95 billion pesos spending spree. That's the front page of the Malaya Business Insight. And the Business Mirror headline says, GoPac hits parliamentary immunity. And that's the front pages of the dailies. Amelin?
Thanks, Jing. And checking on the trending topics this morning, on Twitter, people around the globe are talking about the Scottish trio band Biffy Clyro. This after Biffy Clyro was announced to be joining Eminem and other artists who will headline the Reading and Leeds Festivals 2013. In an interview, Biffy Clyro frontman Simon Neil expressed his enthusiasm of the announcement, saying that the Reading Festival is an exotic festival as it became a cultural moment for the English people. Biffy Clyro's new album Opposites is currently at the #1 spot in the UK official album chart. And still on Twitter, the reunion of American pop-punk band Fall Out Boy is a trending topic here in the Philippines. Filipinos are talking about Fall Out Boy's new album titled Save Rock and Roll, set to be released on May 7. However, their fans need not wait long enough for their comeback, as the band's new single titled My Songs Know What You Did in the Light hit iTunes yesterday. The band also gears up to perform in a reunion tour after a 3-year hiatus starting in their hometown of Chicago. And in Yahoo, among the trending topics this morning is PlayStation 4 rumors. This after Japanese multinational conglomerate Sony will unveil the PlayStation 4 on February 20 and is to be sold later this year. The PlayStation 4, or the Orbis, is reportedly stronger in its social integration and would probably have a 4GB graphics double data rate version 5, 8 Jaguar AMD CPUs, and 14 plus 4 CU graphic units. It's interesting to see how the Orbis will do in the market once it competes with Microsoft's Xbox 720 Durango.
Let's now have Pia Bonalos for the traffic situation along EDSA. She's in Napaki Mart along EDSA. Hi, Pia. Good morning.
Jing, it's another Tuesday morning, and for motorists who are planning to go on EDSA southbound lane, you better arm yourself with loads and loads of patience. I am here on EDSA Kamuning, and you could see the long line of cars, very slow moving. It starts from Kamuning, stretches to New York, Monte de Piedad, Aurora Boulevard, MacArthur's, Pete Wazon, Main Avenue, Santolan, all the way to White Plains, Connecticut. Although it eases up on Ortigas Avenue and SM Mega Mall, moderate to heavy traffic again awaits you on Shaw Boulevard, Reliance, and Pioneer. It eases up on Guadalupe all the way to Kalayaan. For vehicles on EDSA northbound lane, while traffic is light from Kalayaan to Orense, it becomes moderate on Guadalupe, although it turns light again on Pioneer Boni, and you will be problem-free going to Ortigas Avenue, Santolan, MacArthur, Aurora Boulevard, all the way to Kamuning and Nepa Qmart. Keep your head cool on the road this Tuesday morning by smiling instead of honking. And that's the latest traffic situation from EDSA Kamuning. Jing, Amelin.
Yeah, that was a honk behind Pia right there. Sinabihan na kayo ni Pia. Let's now have Katrina Domingo for the traffic situation in C5 Kalayaan. Hi, Kat. Good morning.
Good morning, Jing. It's a sunny day here at C5, and behind me is the C5 Kalayaan intersection. If you turn right, then that's headed to Makati, and if you turn left, then that's headed towards the Pasig proper. And if you go straight ahead, then you are bound for Taguig or the South Superhighway. As you can see, the road here is already busy. On the right side of your screen is the C5 southbound lane, where vehicles are headed towards Market in Taguig. It's already slow moving, but the volume of vehicles continue to increase. Expect this kind of situation to actually be present in all parts of C5 southbound. Meantime, Jing, as for C5 northbound, no clogged spots at this moment, but beware of Bagong Ilog and Lanuza, as these areas are identified as choke points or bottlenecks in this route. Jing, we will be back in a few minutes to give you more traffic updates. But remember, it doesn't hurt to always be extra careful when you're on the road. Jing, Amelin.
Thanks, Kat. The top stories when we come back. You're watching Solar Daybreak on the Solar News Channel. Let's have a quick look at the headlines. The Senate approves a bill reinforcing the country's anti-money. Let's have a quick look at the headlines. The Senate approves a bill reinforcing the country's Anti-Money Laundering Act. President Aquino appoints Eduardo Del Rosario as acting administrator of the Office of Civil Defense and the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council. The Philippine Coast Guard says the crane vessel that will extract the USS Guardian from the Tubataha Reef may not be allowed to anchor near the area to prevent further damage to the reef. And oil firms implement price hikes effective today. At 7:18, the Senate passed on third and final reading Senate Bill 3123 that seeks to expand the coverage of the existing Anti-Money Laundering Act. This after President Aquino certified the bill as urgent last year. The measure aims to add predicate crimes, as well as the institutions who are required to submit reports on suspicious financial transactions. If the bill was not approved before Congress goes on break, the country may be blacklisted by the Paris-based Financial Action Task Force, which will hold another meeting later this month. A bicameral conference committee will be held tomorrow to thresh out differences of the bill's versions in the House and at the Senate. A magnitude 4.7 earthquake hit Ilocos Sur last night. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology says intensity 2 was felt in Sinait, Ilocos Sur, as the quake hit 23 kilometers off Sinait at 8:54 p.m. Meanwhile, an intensity 4.5 earthquake also hit Baguio City at 3:16 p.m. yesterday. Intensity 5 was felt in Baguio City, intensity 4 in La Trinidad, and intensity 2 in Agoo and San Fernando, La Union, as well as in Dagupan City. FIVOLC says they are not expecting any aftershocks and damages from the quakes. President Aquino appoints Eduardo Del Rosario as acting head of the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council and the Office of Civil Defense. The President assigned Del Rosario to his post as Defense Undersecretary. Benito Ramos's resignation from the NDRRMC took effect last week. Del Rosario has already been briefed by the former NDRRMC chief in mid-January in what they described as an orientation for the position. Meanwhile, the President had also assigned Lieutenant General Alan Luga as the new Vice Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Luga replaces Lieutenant General Noel Coballas, who had been named as the Commanding General of the Philippine Army.
The extraction of the USS Guardian from the Tubataha Reef has yet to start, as the Philippine Coast Guard says the crane vessel that will be used may not be allowed to anchor near the reef as it may cause further damage. Paula Palma tells us more.
The USS Guardian may not be removed from the Tubataha Reef just as yet. The Coast Guard says the ship that will extract the USS Guardian may not be allowed to anchor in the reef.
Kasi doon sa plano ng SMIT Borneo, they're supposed to anchor. And of course, we have to clear these procedures to Tubataha Management Foundation. If they will allow yung vessels to anchor, definitely, pag nag-anchor yung vessel, it will create or it will add more damage to the reef.
Even if it doesn't anchor, there is still a chance that it may cause some damage.
Ngayon, di ba, medyo yung weather condition, pabago-bago. So definitely, pag malakas yung current at hindi naka-anchor yung vessel, then galaw ng galaw yan, madidrift, pupunta siya, baka madrift papunta dun sa reef.
The best way to remove the vessel is to cut it into segments and lift it. The plan is to divide the entire ship into 12 segments from top to bottom. The crane ship will remove the mast of the ship. Next to go is the smokestack, the ship's bridge, and the engine. The ship's deck will be divided into 3. Last to go is the ship's hull, which will be divided into 5 parts and then lifted. The crane ship Smith Borneo can carry up to 5,000 tons of debris. They also eye to add another crane ship that can accommodate up to 8,000 tons. A last meeting is set. If the plan is approved, work may begin on Wednesday or Thursday. Paula Palma, Solar News.
The U.S. government is now offering an initial settlement package to the Philippines after the grounding of the USS Guardian at the Tubataha Reef. David Santos has this report from Puerto Princesa, Palawan.
The U.S. government, through its embassy in Manila on Sunday, reiterated its regret over the Tubataha Reef incident. Unlike its previous statement, the U.S. government is now offering an initial settlement package to the Philippines. First, the U.S. said it will provide what is described as appropriate compensation for the damages, though no specific amount was mentioned. Then it would fund different projects accordingly to ensure Tubataha's recovery. One of them is to hold consultations with local reef experts by mid-February and granting 4 million pesos to a Philippine university initiating coral restoration research. The Tubataha Protected Area Management Board has yet to be informed of the proposal.
So it would be really, really important for us to feel that that we have actually been compensated if the compensation package or if the settlement is actually what we need, not what they want to give us.
A team of American interdisciplinary scientific experts will also be sent to the Philippines, which will review rehabilitation options based on the assessment made by Filipino marine experts on damages to the marine park. The U.S. also plans to fund a site survey that should improve the existing ranger station in Tubataha by installing radars and communication equipment to assist park rangers and the Philippine Coast Guard in avoiding future collisions and keep a watch on poachers.
Of course, it's a welcome move that they're now offering compensation, but we do not wish to forget that there was a law that was violated, and we stand by. We hope that they will also respect the law and settle it in the manner in which it is stipulated in the law.
Based on latest reports, the extent of damage in the Tubataha Reef since the USS Guardian ran aground in the protected area last January 17 has reached 4,000 square meters. More than the proposed indemnification, a local cost-oriented group wants the U.S. government to give a convincing explanation why the incident happened in the first place.
Na nawala sila. So, paano sila napunta dyan? Kami po, ilang tribo na wala kami na nag-expose sila ng ating mga natural resources. So, sana sabihin nila yun sa publiko. No? Paano napunta sila dyan? Hindi kasi kapatid-paniwala na naligaw sila.
The U.S. Navy said it has yet to conclude its investigation. The U.S. government, short of reminding the Filipino public, pointed out that even before the Tubataha incident, Washington, D.C. has supported bilateral agreements in preserving local marine ecosystems. Its donor agency, the USAID, has poured in close to 2 billion pesos in the past decade to support biodiversity conservation programs in the Philippines, including several in Tubataha. David Santos, Solar News.
7:25, another U.S. war vessel arrives in Subic today for a routine port visit. The Stockdale comes to replenish supplies as well as offer its crew an opportunity to take part in community relations projects in the province. USS Stockdale Commanding Officer Commander Lex Walker says 15 Filipino Americans are among the crew of the ship. Walker adds they're hoping the port visit will further strengthen the ties between the Philippines and the U.S. USS Stockdale is an Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer and the third U.S. Navy ship to arrive in the country this year, following the USS Guardian and USS Cheyenne. 2 Filipino crewmen who were taken hostage by the Abu Sayyaf says it's been 8 months since they last saw Jordanian journalist Bakir Atiani, who was also held captive by the Abu Sayyaf. Miguel Ortilla has that story.
After 8 months of being held captive by the Abu Sayyaf bandit group, Ramelito Vela and Rolando Letriro were released over the weekend. Both victims drastically lost weight. Vela still couldn't walk as his foot had been infected for several months now. He recounted how the Abu Sayyaf bandits put him on a pony as they traversed the mountains of Sulu. Despite the ordeal, the two said their captors treated them well. They were also unaware if any ransom was paid in exchange for their release.
Ang trato sa amin dun sir parang anak. Mahusay ang alaga sa amin, ni kurot, hindi kami sinaktan. Yung kung anong kinakain nila, kakainin namin. Hindi wala kaming alam doon sa pera na tinanong mo, wala kaming alam na perang negosasyon. Yung paglaya namin, wala kaming alam na kami uuwi.
Authorities say information from Vela and Letrero are crucial in finding the whereabouts of Jordanian journalist Bakir Atiani.
Magiging mahalaga yung salaysay ni Ramil at saka ni Buboy dahil baka mabigyan ng leads ang ating pulis, ang ating mga operatives kung saan pa sila lalong maghahanap.
The problem is, the two were separated from Atiani 5 days after they were captured by the Abu Sayyaf on June 12 last year. They are now clueless as to where Atiani is.
Iniwalay na kami. Hanggang ngayon, hindi na kami nagkita.
PNP Anti-Kidnapping Group Head Senior Superintendent Renato Gumban said the last time Atiani was able to talk to his family was back in December of last year. In January, his abductors contacted Atiani's company Al Arabiya TV but did not allow the journalist to speak to them.
Kaya alam natin na buhay siya at alam natin na diyan rin siya sa Sulu area.
So far, the ransom demand of $3 million or over 120 million pesos for Atiani has not changed. The Special Task Force based in Zamboanga is still in charge of negotiations, but the Moro National Liberation Front initiated its own negotiations to free Atiani and other foreign nationals held captive. But something turned sour over the weekend, leaving 13 Abu Sayyaf and 8 MNLF members dead. The AFP today confirmed that 4 of the MNLF fatalities were beheaded. This raises questions if any of the Abu Sayyaf captives were injured as well. Letrero and Vela told authorities that during encounters, they were forced to wear military fatigues, making it hard for them to be distinguished as hostages.
May puto kami, time na nakasuot kami ganun. Kumbaga kahit mo ako kakilala, hindi mo ako makikilala pag nakasuot ako ng anak.
Miguel Ortilla, Solar News.
Malacanang assures the conflict between members of the Moro National Liberation Front and the Abu Sayyaf will not spread to nearby villages. Presidential spokesperson Edwin Lasherda says there is no need to worry as the fighting took place in an isolated area in the jungles of Sulu. Lasherda adds Social Welfare Secretary Dinky Soliman is now in Mindanao to ensure the safety of civilians and to supervise the evacuation of residents living near the area. The clash between the two rebel groups broke out on Sunday after a squabble over the custody of hostages. The AFP says the situation is now under control after it deployed troops in the area, preventing a spillover of the conflict. Meanwhile, the chief minister of Sabah in Malaysia admits he is related to Aman Futures Group founder Manuel Amalillo. The news website Malaysian Insider came out with a story that Sabah's chief minister Datuk Seri Musa Aman is a relative of Amalillo after reports that a high-ranking Malaysian official supposedly ordered a stop to Amalillo's return to Manila. Musa says Amalillo is a distant relative, adding that he only learned about their kinship recently. The chief minister says that the Sabah state government had nothing to do with Amalillo's deportation, pointing out that it is a matter between the Malaysian police and the Interpol. Amalillo left the Philippines for Sabah after news about his pyramiding scam broke out November last year. Ombudsman Conchita Carpio Morales finds suspended Cebu Governor Gwendolyn Garcia and 5 other Cebu officials guilty of grave misconduct in connection with the irregular acquisition of the Balili estate in Naga, Cebu in 2008. Aside from Garcia, Juan Bolo of the Sangguniang Panlalawigan of Cebu, Anthony Susosco, Roy Salubre, and Eulogio Pelaire of the Provincial Appraisal Committee and Provincial Budget Officer Emmy Gingoyon were also found guilty of the charges. The purchase of the Balili estate was made possible through a memorandum of agreement signed by Garcia in behalf of the province of Cebu.
The Manila Prosecutor's Office dismisses the criminal negligence case against Pampanga Representative Gloria Arroyo in relation to the Maguindanao massacre for lack of probable cause. The resolution states that the complainant, Marconi Abdulaziz Paiso, has no cause of action, and as she is neither a victim nor an heir of the massacre victims. In the complaint, human rights advocate Paiso stated that Arroyo's intolerance or ignorance over the Ampatuan clan's rule in ARMM fueled the tense political rivalry that led to the massacre. The prosecutors, however, say that the allegations against Arroyo are more of generalizations and conclusions that are not supported by evidence. 5 workers were killed after the scaffolding they were standing on collapsed in a power plant in Pililla, Rizal. The victims were reportedly fixing the smokestack of Malaya Power Corporation's power plant when the scaffolding broke. Pililla police say the remains of all the 5 victims have already been recovered last night. It's 7:32. More news when the Solar Daybreak returns. You're watching the Solar News Channel. Let's have a quick look at the headlines. The Senate approves a bill reinforcing the country's Anti-Money Laundering Act. President Aquino appoints Eduardo Del Rosario as acting administrator of the Office of Civil Defense and the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council. The Philippine Coast Guard says the crane vessel that will extract the USS Guardian from the Tubataha Reef may not be allowed to anchor near the area to prevent further damage to the reef. And oil firms implement price hikes effective today.
With warm winds in the eastern section of the country, let's now check on the weather in cities across the nation. Pat Fernandez is at the Solar Weather Center to give us the latest. Hi again, Pat.
Hello again, Amelin. According to Pag-asa's monitoring, you're right. The warm easterly winds continue to affect the eastern section of the country. And now, before you make plans for the first Tuesday of February, let's check the weather in cities across the nation. Starting off here in Luzon, Manila, Tagaytay, and Lawag will only be partly cloudy today. So for those who will dance wearing their kimono in the Guling-Guling Festival in Paway, Ilocos Norte, you will surely have fun. In Tuguegarao, Puerto Princesa, and Legazpi, they will experience partly cloudy skies with brief rains. And in Calapan, they will have occasional drizzles. Moving down in Visayas, Tacloban, Dumaguete, and Tagbilaran will also be partly cloudy today with isolated rain showers and thunderstorms. Cebu, Iloilo, and Borongan will just be partly cloudy today with brief rains. So for those attending in Iloilo, the Salakayan Festival in Miagao till tomorrow, you will surely have a great time. And down south, the cities of Davao, General Santos, and Zamboanga will also have partly cloudy skies with isolated rain showers and thunderstorms. Cagayan de Oro, Cotabato, and Bituan, on the other hand, will be rainy. And that's the latest on the weather this morning. Back to you, Amelin and Jing.
Thanks, Pat. The Commission on Elections uncovered technical problems in the precinct count optical scan or PCOS machines in mock elections on Saturday. Now, Malacanang wants the poll body to fix the glitches ahead of the midterm elections in May. AC Nichols has that story.
Malacanang expects COMELEC to fix all the technical glitches encountered during last Saturday's nationwide mock elections. And the poll body has ample time to do so, with more than 3 months before the midterm polls.
They have committed that they will be able to solve the glitches, and we expect them to do so. Certainly we hope that by election time, that these glitches will be resolved, and there will be no glitches that would question the integrity of the elections.
Over the weekend, COMELEC conducted mock polls in 10 areas across the country. In P. Bernardo High School in Bagong Lipunan in Crame, Quezon City, the machines refused to accept thermal papers due to their thickness. While at the UP Integrated School, some PCOS machines were unable to read ballots. There were also glitches in data transmission due to poor network signals.
There is more than enough time. More than enough time. We're still very early. February pa lang tayo ngayon. We will have the final testing anyway 1 week before the elections. Nakaschedule na yan, May 6. That would be the final testing all over.
Lacerda says the president has given his marching orders to make the coming polls as orderly and credible as possible. He also brushed aside allegations that the poll body is not prepared for another automated elections.
But this is not the first time the COMELEC is going to oversee an automated elections. So this is something that the COMELEC has experience with, notwithstanding the presence of some new commissioners, but the bureaucracy is familiar already with automated elections.
AC Nichols, Solar News.
The National Telecommunications Commission is confident the transmission of results from the PCOS machines will withstand signal jammers in the May elections. NTC Director Edgardo Cabarrio says signal jammers may delay the transmission of results. However, he assures the NTC is closely monitoring the sale of jammers. The NTC prohibited the importation and sale of these devices following reports that the entry of 5,000 jammers in the country in 2010 sent jitters to the Commission on Elections, as these may disrupt the transmission of election results. Commission on Elections Chairman Sixto Brillantes says there will be a slight delay in the printing of ballots for the May 2013 elections. Brillantes says the ballot files from the COMELEC warehouse in Cabuyao, Laguna are still being tested by the COMELEC's IT personnel. The COMELEC chief says IT experts are making sure there will be no complications once the files are brought to the National Printing Office. Brillantes adds the printing of ballots should begin today. He says the delay is nothing to worry about, as the COMELEC and the NPO will still meet their April 25 deadline.
Inform in 100 is a series of special reports that will give you information you can use in choosing candidates for the May elections. During campaign season, the public is bombarded with speeches, debates, and other strategies of candidates to gain support. But come May 13, how will the Philippine electorate choose their bets in this race? AC Nichols has this report on voters' maturity.
Political analyst Prospero de Vera notes the absence of controversial candidates known to champion causes in the upcoming midterm polls. He cites as examples Senators Antonio Trillanes and Alan Peter Cayetano, who went against former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo but still won in the previous elections. De Vera also points out the absence of issues that will distinguish one candidate from another.
Even as we want this campaign to be very issue-oriented, it's difficult to make it very issue-oriented given the unique character of this election. So in the absence of significant issues that will divide or that will differentiate candidates, what comes next would be popularity, the way they project themselves in the media, how their election ads are crafted, and also, of course, branding for individual candidates in terms of how they would want the voter to recognize them and support them.
De Vera thinks for the most part, a typical Filipino voter will decide based on the personality of the candidates. Election lawyer Romulo Macalental agrees. He attributes this to the low maturity level of Filipino voters. For Macalental, it will not be easy to shift to a mature and issues-based elections.
Perhaps the new generation now, na talaga namang computer age, could be better voters in the future. Maaaring mas iba ang orientation nila. And I look forward to that. Siguro maaaring wala na tayo sa mundong ito, ay saka pa lamang mangyayari yun.
Romulus says the responsibility lies in the Commission on Elections to properly educate the public on how to make informed choices. De Vera adds media can help elevate the level of the campaign. He explains one cannot just expect the electorate to make the right choice if information is not available. De Vera says while it may take time, there are already signs of a maturing Filipino electorate.
I think it is because academic institutions, the media, and civil society organizations are more aggressively trying to make sure that issues are raised in this election that will make it an issue rather than a personality-based election.
De Vera and Macalental point to an equally important matter, how the public behave after the elections. For the COMELEC, the way towards maturity should be initiated by the candidates themselves through acceptance of their defeat in the elections.
It's very easy for Filipinos, for the most part, I've noticed, to really reject the poll results if it does not come out according to their wishes. And that is, to me, the biggest symbol of immaturity. Elections, this is a two-way street. You either win or you lose. And just because you lose doesn't mean you were cheated. And certainly just because you lose doesn't mean that the rest of the voters are stupid.
2013 is considered the dress rehearsal for the 2016 presidential elections. Experts hope that an improvement in this election will spell the difference when the time comes that we have to elect the next president. AC Nichols, Solar News.
At 7:45, the Commission on Elections has decided to retain its rule limiting the airtime for political ads on TV and radio. However, the Kapisanan ng mga broadcasters sa Pilipinas argues the airtime limit of 120 minutes for TV and 180 minutes for radio will impede the candidates' opportunity to present themselves to the public. And joining us this morning is KBP Legal Counsel Attorney Rudolph Hularba. to give us more light on the issue. Attorney, good morning.
Good morning.
What's the KBP stand? 120 and 180 are very limiting.
Well, we know for a fact that those limits are difficult in terms of giving the candidate the opportunity to present whatever platform he has. Because of the geographic condition of the Philippines and the fact that broadcast stations do not really reach nationwide.
Some sectors say that increasing the number of airtime minutes will favor those who have money. Of course, those who don't have money, walang pera. Siyempre, walang pang-produce ng commercial, tsaka walang pambili ng airtime. So if you increase the number of minutes, that means those people, those candidates who do have money, especially the national candidates running for the Senate, for example, will have as much air as they want, whereas the others who don't have the funds to produce will not have commercials at all, even if there's airtime to air the commercials.
But that's not necessarily true. No? In the first place, mass media is still, particularly broadcast, is still the cheapest way to reach a bigger population. And if you compare the rates of airtime in the provinces, where a senatorial or a national candidate may want to reach, we're talking of very cheap airtime rates.
Right, in the provinces, rates range from what, 5,000 pesos to
below 5,000.
Below 5,000 pesos per 30-second spot.
Per 30 seconds.
Are you talking about TV?
No, I'm talking about radio.
Radio. What about TV?
Well, I have no idea about
a little more expensive.
A little more expensive, but it's not the rates that they're saying that 500,000 a 30-second or even 400,000.
But the more effective is TV.
Yes,
for
because
a national candidate. Yeah.
That's correct, because of the audiovisual way by which an ad is presented.
But there's another thing. Radio and TV can resort to interviews.
That's correct.
To provide exposure for candidates. Now, the COMELEC is saying that there should be prior approval of the Commission on Elections of any interview of any candidate.
Well, we have been opposing that requirement, particularly the prior approval requirement, because we believe that this is prior restraint. Now, the COMELEC has said that they are reconsidering this and that they are coming up with a resolution requiring instead prior notice. In the case of the KBP, we believe that whether it is prior notice or prior approval, this constitutes prior restraint.
So even if it's prior notice, that doesn't go with the KBP?
Yes, we feel that that still constitutes prior restraint.
Okay, so when is the Commission on Elections coming up with a stand on this?
Well, they said they're coming up before the 12th. The 12th being the start of the election period.
National campaign period. Yes. And the right of reply provision, which people are talking about. What's the stand of the KBP on the right to reply?
Well, in the first place, we know that COMELEC is not the right venue to question that provision, considering that it's already found in the Fair Election Act.
Okay.
Now, we have always taken the position, however, that the implementation of the right to reply or the opportunity to reply should be one taken in the context of self-regulation and in the manner by which it is universally observed.
Okay.
We have no, while in principle we object to the right to reply being legislated, we have no objection to the procedure that is really laid down by the COMELEC, at least KBP. Some broadcast institutions, however, believe that even the procedure laid down is restrictive.
In the past, candidates would go around the country, and national candidates, for example, would leave an X amount of money with a radio station, with a broadcast network. And every time they would go to a local station, let's say in Legazpi, the candidate would say, "O sige, bukas may pupunta ako sa Legazpi, interviewin niyo ako for 5 or 10 minutes." Is that allowable? Is that legal?
Well, you see, there are ethical issues there, and if it is presented as if it were a news report, then this is what, in fact, the COMELEC wants to restrict, and there's basis for that. However, if it is a bought airtime, and it is presented in such a way that it is a commercial, then there should be no the issues about that, except of course that the time
is going to be counted.
Going to be counted.
If I air a commercial, for example, a 1-minute commercial from a Manila station emanating, and it's broadcast nationwide, does that count as 1 minute? Or do you multiply that by the number of stations it's aired on?
Well, that is one of the questions we were asking for COMELEC to clarify. And in the several times I asked the Chairman Brillantes, he said that as long as it is simultaneously aired, it is considered just one.
Okay, that makes sense, doesn't it?
Except that that is an exception rather than the rule. Most stations are not airing simultaneously.
Not on a nationwide basis?
Not on a nationwide basis.
Then in that case, it would be counted 1 per emanating station.
That is correct.
And how does the KBP monitor compliance by the different stations?
Well, the members of KBP are required by the Fair Election Act and its rules and regulations to submit broadcast logs, as well as copies of the contract that are
including
signed.
Copies of the contract.
Including copies of the contract.
What about stations that are not members of the KBP?
The requirement is the same. That is a requirement of COMELEC.
They go straight to the COMELEC and not to the KBP?
All of us go straight to the COMELEC. The KBP does not monitor compliance of its members.
All right. So what does the KBP do in terms of monitoring compliance with the rules of the Commission on Elections?
Well, of course, we always issue circulars reminding them of the COMELEC rules and regulations, like the start of the campaign period, what are prohibited, etc., just as guidance of our members. Our members, however, in fact, even prior to the election, the issue of COMELEC rules and regulations are taken up during general membership meetings.
So what we're waiting for is a decision by the KBP on prior restraint.
The COMELEC, the decision of the COMELEC.
Commission on Elections on prior restraint.
Yes.
For interviews, for political interviews.
That's correct. The prior approval or the prior notice.
All right. Thank you, Attorney Alarba, for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much.
Amelin?
Thanks, Ching. Now let's go back to Pia Bonalo. She's in a bakery along Kamuning Road in Quezon City to introduce us to one of the best cinnamon rolls in the city. Hi, Pia.
Amelin, nothing beats the smell of freshly baked bread in the morning. Sorry, I'm getting distracted with all the smells here in Kamuning Bake Shop. They have been baking for the past 70 years. With me is store supervisor Lucy Mendoza and store manager Libby Villamel to tell us all about it. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning. Tell me po, 70 years na po ang bake shop ninyo. Saan po galing yung mga recipes? Kanino po nag-originate yan?
Sa lola pa po ng boss ko sa galing Singgalong.
Ganun po. So, preserved po yan from generation to generation. Ano po bang specialty dito po sa Kamuning Bake Shop?
Specialty putok and saka cinnamon.
Paano po ba natin binibake? Because nowadays there are a lot of new ovens and I'm sure since this was passed from generations to generations, maybe there's something preserved in the process.
Actually, ang ginagamit natin is the original Pugon oven. So it's actually, we use firewood talaga.
Yung firewood po. So is that used for all the products? Ano po ba yung mga binibake po natin with the firewood?
For all the products, like we start with the pandesal, the pandesuelo, the cinnamon rolls, ensaimadas, and then we also have like other breads. We have the pan de coco, we have adobo rolls, and all that.
I heard there's something different po about your pandesal, which is why people go here every morning. Ano po bang pinagkaiba ng pandesal ninyo sa pandesal na nabibili sa iba?
Dahil luto siya sa kahoy at saka malaman talaga siya.
And of course, pandesal, it's actually more on the salty taste. Plus yung aroma talaga ng pugon na kahoy. So yun ang mas hinahabol ng mga customers natin.
Yeah, you could smell really how different it tastes here. Fresh na fresh ang bread. And then this one, can you tell me about pandesuelo? Parang, for me at first glance, it looks like a bigger kind of pandesal, pero parang iba yung dating po niya. Can you tell me about it?
Naiiba talaga yan sa pandesal kasi ang pagluto niyan, diretso talaga sa floor ng pugon. Tsaka iba yung kanyang recipes ang sa pandesal.
Ano po yung parang pinagkaiba sa pandesal? Kung galing sa floor, kaya siguro suelo, no? Kasi floor. Ano po yung pinagkaiba sa lasa?
Sa lasa naman po, ma'am, mas matabang itong pandeswelo tapos pumuputok talaga siya.
Ayan. Ito kaya parang medyo putok yung itsura niya. And another best seller is the cinnamon rolls. Can you tell me about
cinnamon. Ang cinnamon naman, ang kasarapan doon dahil flour, cinnamon, brown sugar, pasas.
Ayan, and you could see how enticing it really looks. So you have to forget about your diet when you want to dig in. How about this ensaymada? It's another staple and favorite po ng madaming mga Pinoy.
Oo, gustong-gusto siya kasi we use really first-class butter. And the cheese na ginagamit namin is not an ordinary cheese. Kaya masyado siyang patok sa lasa ng clients natin.
Ano pong klaseng cheese ang gamit po natin for our ensaymada?
Actually, we use the very local cheese. It's not unlike yung mga ginagamit na parmesan or something, or the queso de bola, which will make the ensaymada very expensive. So what we use is the local queso, or sometimes we also use the Eden cheese.
Okay, so I'm sure napakamalinamnam. And this one naman, we also have biscochos and oatmeal cookies. Ito naman po parang, is this freshly baked every day? Ano naman po ang iba dito?
Ang biskotso kasi talaga ang pinapahid namin butter, ang core. Tapos powder sugar, tsaka yung napakalutong niya talaga. Talagang malalasan mo yung butter niya sa loob.
How about the oatmeal?
Ginagamit natin sa oatmeal cookies a real oatmeal. And we do not, hindi natin siya dinadaya sa extenders. Talagang pure oatmeal ang ingredient niya.
I'm sure a lot of our viewers right now are salivating. Gusto nilang makatikman. Saan po ba mahanap ang Kamuning Bake Shop?
Dito lang po sa 43 Judge Jimenez Street, Kamuning, Quezon City, corner Keepers po.
Anong oras po kayo open?
5 o'clock to 10 o'clock ng gabi.
Ma'am, please do invite everyone to check out your bakery.
Dalaw po kayo minsan sa amin, Kamuning Bakery. Malapit lang po ito sa Kamuning area, sa Kamuning area, and nadadaanan po tayo ng mga public utility vehicles.
Ayan, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you po for all of you who want a different taste of your pandesal in the morning. Come check out Kamuning Bakery. Jing, Amelin.
Thanks, Pia.
Salivating indeed. The Red Bull Formula One team unveiled its new RB9 car, which they hope will top the championships for a fourth consecutive year. Technical head Adrian Newey said the RB9 is an evolution from last year's model, with notable design innovations. The race car retains the broken nose, but now with a partial vanity panel smoothing. Most of the revisions can be found in the car's middle area, with a tidying up of details that needed improving from last year's nice car. Let's again get the traffic situation from Katrina Domingo. Kat, I was going for my coffee. Kat, good morning.
Jing, we are still here near the C5 Kalayaan intersection and traffic is getting worse by the hour. Right here, if you would look at your screens, on the left side of your screen is the C5 northbound lane, which is already stuck in a bumper-to-bumper situation. It's already an eyesore from our point of view, but it gets nastier down at Bagong Ilog and Lanuza, where a lot of lane cutting and honking takes place. Roads in front of Ateneo and Biram College are also getting congested by the hour. Meantime, C5 southbound is also a trouble zone for motorists, with major delays along Bagong Ilog and Lanuza as an accident involving two vehicles took place around 7:30 this morning. Jing, that's it for the C5 traffic, but don't switch just yet because here's our car tip for the day. If you experience frequent dizziness during long drives, then you might be suffering from car sickness. Car sickness is one of the many forms of motion sickness, which is triggered by the discrepancy between what you see and what you feel. To curb the headaches and possible vomiting, it would be best to sit in front and look out the front window or sleep if you can manage. Munching on candies or snacks can also help ease your discomfort. So remember, it doesn't hurt to always be extra careful when you're on the road. Jing, Amelin.
Thanks, Kat. Several oil firms implemented price increases in its fuel products effective today. Shell, Chevron, and Flying V increased prices of its premium and unleaded gasoline by 1.05 centavos per liter, and regular gasoline by 0.75 centavos per liter, 75 centavos per liter. Meanwhile, diesel and kerosene prices increased by 45 centavos per liter.
And now let's check on the weather in cities across the globe from Pat Fernandez. Hi again, Pat.
Hello again, Amelin. Let's check the weather in cities across the globe this first Tuesday of February. Starting off in Asia, here in Tokyo, clouds will hover this morning as they celebrate the Atami Bayan Umi Matsuri, or the Apricot Blossom Festival. Beijing, on the other hand, will still be snowy, and watch out for the -7 degrees Celsius minimum temperature there. So if you're heading outdoors to have your last-minute shopping of Spring Festival products at the Beijing Wukesong Sports Center, you might want to double up on your jackets, and don't forget to bring your gloves. Meanwhile, Shanghai will be rainy this morning, and watch out for the 6 degrees Celsius minimum. Moving on, Bangkok will continue to experience some thunderstorms today and tomorrow, while Hong Kong and Taipei will experience some drizzles. In the Middle East, you'll see Dubai will be partly cloudy, as well as Baghdad, while Paris will experience some hails, and watch out for the 5 degrees Celsius minimum. Meanwhile, in Sydney down under, they will still have some showers, and Rome will still be cloudy today. In New York, it will be partly cloudy, and watch out for the -5 degrees Celsius minimum. And that's the latest on the weather this morning. For more news and information, visit www.solarnews.ph. Be productive and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and keep it right here on Solar. Back to you, Amelin and Jing.
Thank you, Pat.
9-year-old kid president Robbie Novak gives an inspiring pep talk in a new viral video. The clip, which garnered over 7 million views in less than 2 weeks, is dedicated to a child named Gabby who's battling cancer. YouTube channel Soul Pancake says the clip also serves as an encouragement to anyone who's having a hard time. We're showing you this clip because, as the kid president says, it's everybody's duty to give the world a reason to dance.
This is life, people. You got air coming through your nose. You got heartbeat. That means it's time to do something. It's like that dude Journey said, don't stop believing unless you dream stupid. Keep going. Will Michael Jordan have quit? Well, he did quit. So he retired. Yeah, yes, he retired. But before that, in high school, what if he had quit when he didn't make the team? He would have never made Space Jam. And I love Space Jam. This is your time. This is my time. It's our time. We can make every day better for each other. If we're all on the same team, let's start acting like it. We got work to do. We can cry about it, or we can dance about it.
Okay. Unless your dream's stupid.
Unless your dream is stupid, yeah. But so what? It's still a dream. Dream's a dream. No judging.
That's right, Jing.
And that's our Solar Daybreak for today. Join us again tomorrow for a fresh look at the big stories.
You can also send us your comments and early morning photos at solardaybreak@gmail.com.
This is Solar Daybreak on the Solar News Channel. Magandang umaga po. Salamat.